everyone, it's Beran Parry. I'm a couple of minutes early because I would love to know if you can hear me and run a little test, because this is the first time I'm going live on Facebook, one of many times, I hope, and I look forward to doing this much more often and seeing you and helping wherever I can. So I'm going to tag a few friends just to see if we can get ourselves going. And let's see if we can do this right. If anybody's on, can you tell me, can you type comment to say if you can hear me or not? That will be so great. Oh, brilliant, Vanessa. I'm so glad you can. So that's really good news. We're going to wait another minute before we start, as we are expecting more lovely people to join us. And this is such fun. I'm so looking forward to it. We have quite a lot planned to discuss. And I really do look forward so much to sharing this information, because let's face it, the more information we get, the better, and the more we can help ourselves. So on this lovely winter's day in Spain, and we're going to be broadcasting all over the world, so it's really exciting. Can everybody else just say that they can hear me, and then we know that they can for sure? That would be so great. And I really want to encourage you to keep typing comments and questions so that I can answer in the session. And certainly, if you don't want to do it during the session, feel free to do it after the session. So that would be great fun as well, because then we can keep the dialogue going, and I can keep posting information that really interests you, and also help to deal with situations that otherwise could be really difficult. So we're going to start soon. We have a few extra people joining. Hi there. Could you just say hello, and then I know who's there, because it would be so lovely just to picture the face. Right, okay, so hey Leah, so glad to see you there. So my lovely gut specialist assistant, who is doing a wonderful job and making sure that she can help with all things related to the gut very soon. So that's really nice. Okay. Great. Okay, I think we're going to start. People will catch up. I've got people coming from all over the world, from South Africa and from the US, so they will join us as and when they can, or they'll be watching the live play afterwards. So let's get started. Now, we're going to cover the gut in three main areas. So make sure you have a pen and paper ready, because there's going to be lots of notes. Hi, Esther. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. And what I want to start with is, what are the signs and what are the reasons why your gut doesn't feel exactly as it should? Now, we all know that there are times that we just feel bloated or out of balance or swollen, or things are just not working as well as they should. And what I really want to say at this point is, let's look at 7 different influences in your gut right now, happening as we speak and as we watch each other, because these are the things that we can start to think about and work on to really improve the situation. Of course, the first item has to be the diet. So what are you eating? If you're going to be eating a lot of foods that are disturbing your gut, and for different people that means different things, but mostly for everyone, if it's food that's processed, there's going to be toxins. So diet is without any doubt the number one issue for gut. And so we have to watch what we're eating. And we're going to talk about next the 7 steps that we can take to improve the gut. So that's going to be very much part of this discussion. And then we're going to look at what we have to test in the gut to make sure that it's working properly. Because if we don't know what we have to test, then we can never get better. So let's go to the next point. So number 1 is diet. Make sure you write that down. Number 2 is medications. So if you are taking anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, anything like that. We'll get to antibiotics as well at another point because they're quite toxic. But any medication at all can be influencing your gut. So think about what it is that you're taking. The next one is, do you have intolerances? So the interesting thing is that we may have intolerances that we don't even realize. So there could be a gluten intolerance, a lectin intolerance, which is chemicals that are actually in plants. You could have a lactose intolerance. You could even have something called a histamine intolerance, which is something that I have, which means that you could be intolerant to a lot of different foods because you lack the enzymes to digest the histamine. So intolerances, number 3, write that down. Number 4 is there could be an infection. Has anybody heard of Helicobacter pylori? So that's an infection that you could have. And there are others too. So infection could be the reason. The next thing we're going to look at is toxins. So if we eat something that is toxic, it contains toxic material. A good example would be mercury in fish. That could really disturb the gut. And the others are, in fact, enzymes, which is number 6. So if you're lacking the right enzymes, that could be affecting how well you digest. And finally, the stress. Now, I would hate to discount stress because we should actually include it as a huge gut influence factor. The amount of people that say, I had some stress and my stomach got sore. I mean, that's almost all of us. So stress has to be there. So make sure that those 7 things you're very aware of and you know that they are the ones that are really getting to influence the gut, and make sure that there are some symptoms which are really just messages to us to tell us what we have to do. Okay, any questions at this point? Just post them there and I'll answer them. Any questions that came up as I was talking about these 7 items, let me know, because they could well be very important to you right now and we wouldn't want to miss out on them. Okay, everything seems to be good. So let's move on now to what are the 7 steps that you could take to help to fix your gut? Because that's why we're here. How do we fix our guts? And I'm going to mention 7 of the most important things. And as we go through them, we're going to look at different ways we can implement these steps. Oh, I'm so glad it's interesting, Melissa. I'm going to actually repeat this several times. So I think a lot of people will find different things interesting at different sessions. So it's great that you are really taking note and finding some value in what we're talking about. So I think what's really important is that we have to eat unprocessed food. So put that as number 1. Eat unprocessed food. Make sure that it's natural. When you go shopping, go to the outer aisles in the supermarket where all the natural fresh food is waiting in the refrigerated section. And you can't go wrong if it's never been touched by human hand. So again, try to get in the rainbow color of the veggies. That's so important. Natural meats, or if you're vegetarian, naturally processed veggie and vegan protein powder from hemp, for example, or even mushrooms are very high in protein and they are completely vegetable. So it's really interesting. Then the other thing that we're going to look at is really try to get the bottom of your intolerances. The intolerances can be extremely debilitating. So try to make sure that those intolerances are dealt with. So if it's a lactose intolerance, it could be a lactose-free food. It could be that you take lactase, which then helps to digest. But to be honest, the best thing is to avoid them altogether, because really we don't need milk products in the diet. We get enough calcium from all the vegetables that we're going to be eating, and we are eating, I would expect. So intolerances, big deal. Get to work on that. Find a professional that can help you with that. And then infections. Make sure that you treat infections, that you ensure that you get good diagnostics. Like Helicobacter pylori is one that's a very stubborn one and can cause so many problems. And there's certain viral infections as well that influence the gut badly, bacterial infections as well. Those need to be treated often with natural antibiotics. Not always do you need chemical antibiotics. So be careful there, because antibiotics in terms of toxins, is one of the highly toxic medicines that you can take. Sometimes we need it to save our lives, but other times we could be using natural antibiotics, and they can be really strong and powerful too. So the next thing is rebuild the bacteria in the gut. So the bacteria are really the most important thing. So if you've heard of something called dysbiosis, that means that the bacteria, there's not enough good ones, there's too many bad ones, and the mix between the two is really causing a problem. So make sure that you get that rebalanced. You need to kill off bad before you can add good. That's a very, very important note to take. The next thing I want to talk about is making sure that you eat good quality fat. We need good quality fat in our diets to build strength, immunity, and also to reduce inflammation. So make sure that you get that good quality fat, all your omega-3s. That's really important in there. The next thing I would say is repair the lining of your guts. There are certain natural medicines that really help with that. And you need to analyze why the lining is inflamed before you can choose the right one. So make sure you get the help of a professional to do that. Okay, good. Great. Welcome, Lynn. So lovely to see you. Finally, let's go back to the stress thing again. If we are getting stressed and it's really affecting our gut, we need to look at how we can become more stress resilient, because stress is there to stay. But if we become more resilient, we will find that it will help the gut. So make sure, again, that you really do help your gut by becoming more stress resilient. And there's so many different ways you can message me that you can find out how to deal with stress. It's so important. Great. So finally, I'd like to look at how do we test the gut. So for example, if we have a gut issue, where do we start to know what's going on with it? And normally you should see a professional, because there are 5 main areas that need testing. So make sure you write this down as well. The first area is called digestive ability. And we work with a fantastic laboratory that looks at this in great depth. And there is one particular enzyme that is even more important than the rest. And that particular enzyme is called pancreatic elastase. And that is responsible for a lot of different digestive processes. Our body and our gut also needs to be making all different types of digestive enzymes for carbohydrates, fats, proteins. So we need to make sure that our digestion is analyzed and we are taking the right digestive enzymes, and that we have enough of the pancreatic elastase. And if not, there are medicines we can take that will help with that. So make sure that you understand how you are digesting. The second item is actually gut inflammation. Now, for me, that gut inflammation is really, really important. There's a product called calprotectin, which is really, really important to measure to see how much gut inflammation is taking place. And the tests that are available normally check that, and also they check another complicated enzyme, let's just call it E protein, because we need to see whether there are natural chemicals being produced by the gut that are either helping or hindering inflammation. So inflammation is number 2. What is number 3? Number 3 is bacterial dysbiosis. So we test in the lab many, many different bacteria in a stool test, for example, good bacteria, bad bacteria, pathogenic bacteria that's not helping in any way, so neutral bacteria. We need to know exactly what bacteria is going on in your gut, because then we can help. If there's too much good, well, maybe it's just too much bacteria. If it's too many bad bacteria, well, we've got to get rid of them. If there's an incorrect balance between the good and bad, we've got to do what we have to do to get that balance right again. So you need a professional to help you through dysbiosis. And I must say that 70% of the people that I test have some form of dysbiosis going on. It's probably out of all 5 the main area of influence on gut issues and getting the gut fixed. So dysbiosis, dysbiosis, go and look it up. Really, really important. Now, there's a question here that's saying, do I think that avoiding milk is a good idea even if you're not lactose intolerant? And the answer is absolutely. Milk was meant for a young calf, a baby cow that needed very specific nutrients to be able to grow into a big, strong adult cow. We don't need that milk. We can use hemp milk, coconut milk, almond milk if we really like the milky flavor. But actually imbibing milk is not a good idea in any case, even besides the lactose intolerance. And lactose intolerance is very, very prevalent in our societies. I would say 70%, 60 to 70% of the people I test are lactose intolerant. So let's move on now to number 4. Now, number 4 is actually the metabolics. How well is your gut metabolizing? That's really, really important. And in order for the gut to metabolize well, there is a secretory immunoglobulin A product that has to be really well balanced in the gut, and the tests will actually test that to see whether or not you are having good metabolic activity in the gut. And metabolics also count towards whether or not you're able to easily lose weight. So that's why testing the gut really helps to understand why you may not be losing the weight, even though you're doing everything right. So, hi, Ethel. Oh, my cousin's here from America. That's so amazing. Okay, great. Final one is pathogens. So pathogens could be really naughty, bad bacteria, could be issues with parasites, and there are at least 30 different parasites that should be checked. So some gut tests test a few, but I think you might as well just test them all, in my opinion. There's also, under parasites is also fungal parasites, so things like Candida, and there are 18 different species of Candida. Candida can have a massively negative impact on the gut, so knowing whether or not you have a Candida infection is vitally important for gut health. So really, really make sure that you can find out whether or not there are any of these pathogens that are affecting the gut. And until we get these pathogens cleared up, we will not know whether or not they are affecting our gut health. So it can take a while to get them cleared. We don't want to use strong chemicals in many situations. We prefer to do it naturally and gradually, and then the pathogens go most of the time forever. So just to summarize again, we've got the digestion, we have to check the inflammation, the dysbiosis, the metabolism of the gut, and finally the pathogenics. So are there any questions about any aspect about why your gut might be like it is, about what you should be doing and what you should be testing? You can send them now, or you can send them privately to me. I really don't mind. But we've got another 5 minutes or so just to answer any questions at all. And I'd be so delighted to help you and to see if I can bring any value to the session and also make a difference to quality of life. That's what it's all about. We really, really want to improve our quality of life. And when our gut is working well, oh, wow, that goes a long way to improving quality of life. So, anything else? Ethel, any questions? Lynn, Melissa, Leah, any questions at all? I know there's more watching, and I know you might prefer to be anonymous, but you could always just write a private question to me. Feel free. Yes, leaky gut is our next subject. We're going to do several of these chats once a week. So it's going to be really fun just to keep going. And if you want to know more, we're actually going to run a course on all aspects of gut health. So leaky gut is a subject on its own. Why does it become leaky? And also what's really important with leaky gut is how do you diagnose it? And then, of course, how do you fix it? Because it's not that easy to fix. Those holes tend to hang around. we can help them a lot, but we have to keep helping them. So it's a project of making sure that every day we feed the health of our gut lining. And that's also going to be really important in understanding how to fix your gut in the long term. Moringa powder. Oh, I love moringa. It's so high in natural protein. Now, moringa can be a very good addition to your morning protein smoothie, which you should always be taking. However, sometimes moringa can be very stimulating. I myself and a couple of my patients find that if they take too much moringa, they don't feel that well. So I would say keep it limited to a small amount, maybe a heaped teaspoon at the most. We might even have to do less. And it's a wonderful addition. It's got some fantastic qualities. Glutamine is in our new gut powder. Glutamine is one of 17 wonderful minerals and natural medicines that can help the gut. And what we've done is we've selected several from those 17, and they're going to be available in our Gen X Health Gut Healing Powder, where you just take a teaspoon and mix it with water and drink it down every morning before you eat anything. And that goes such a long way to healing the gut. Any other questions? Ask anything at all. I'm so happy to be here for you. Hi, Ian. Lovely to see you. Now, if you've missed anything, don't worry. I'm going to upload the live video on Facebook and hopefully on Instagram as well. And you can continue to ask the questions. No problem at all. And I'm sure they'll come up. And what's really important as well is have a look at a lot of my online posts on Gen X Health. There's one particular one on gut health that is very informative. It's a whole section on leaky gut, Melissa, if you want to look at that. So feel free to go and look at those posts. They can be very helpful. And also, I am writing a book at the moment on longevity, and guess what? One of the big sections is going to be on gut health. So keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know about it. And also part of our health coaching certification is going to be a gut health certification within that as well. So I think you'll find that really helpful. Great. Well, we've done our 20 minutes. If there's nothing else, I'm going to sign off. But first of all, thank you so much for being here. It's just been absolutely amazing to have you as part of this first very small test run. And I'm looking forward to speaking to everybody so much more and interacting so much more. And if there's anything at all I can answer, just message me anytime. I just so love to hear from you. So have a wonderful evening, a delicious meal, and make sure that you look after your gut. Bye for now.